Thank you very much, my dear. The opportunity is great to discuss at least with few of you. But all the same, I don't know, the people have very recent memories of Dali only. Why not Alexander the Great?
That I started an educational started that.
Alexander the Great was one, and there was one Major General Palit. He wrote a book, Great Wars on Indian Soil. He starts that book with saying, you know what? He said the history of India would have been different had it not been for Ambi. Ambi, if you know from historical background, was the general of Porus. Ambi betrayed Porus and joined Alexander the Great. The point goes on to say that our own people will join Alexander the Great. And many of the leaders will betray us on that. And here comes the foreign university into the college, into the great Indian landscape. Although, howsoever difficult it may be to absorb that point, but it is simultaneously difficult to say that what is the way forward for us. The way forward, I think, in education is really difficult. The road ahead is impossible. So much a mammoth task of bringing the quality into engineering education, into medical education, and into whatever practical kind of education there can be. Infrastructures we are creating, we will be forced to create. Believe me, all that infrastructure that we are willing to create today comes, 90% of it comes from foreign countries. May it be computers, may it be softwares. Right, sir? So what remains to us is a good teacher to use it. We have pathetically failed in developing ourselves into getting that mechanism into working. I don't know how and what way we can bring up the gurus to really benefit the country, revive its tradition of Guru Shishya. It is the gurus that must come to that standard or that motivation level that can bring up the students. How do we do it? I seek opinions from everybody to do that, but I fail to myself quantize that and give a quality to it. Well, of course, having visited so many institutes and so many universities all over the world during my tenure as SAP advisor or consultant to many big firms, I have found it is in the treatise, it is in the books. An interest in the books that leads to great discoveries even today on day-to-day basis in industries. Some remarkable things are there. Research, leave it aside research, but something that is already found out is also not being studied and utilized properly. We don't know. I am, of course, a mechanical engineer, so I would tell you, we don't know the materials. We don't know the materials yet, but they are there in the books that you can find out and do better. The latest of your telephones that you see today, Galaxy 4, 5 or even the laptops have a body that is machined out of solid aluminum to provide the strength. Having failed with developing a chemical or a plastic material that could be as strong, as aluminium. Ultimately, the age-old aluminium has come into saying it is light, it is strong, that can take up all the solders inside the PCBs have also changed into aluminium from lead. So the aluminium is 75 of the crust of the earth, which is there. Similarly in education, it is there, most of the things are there, only to be analyzed, reanalyzed and redefined to understand in the present mind, the present structure of thinking or present engineering. Well, it gives me great pride to say that we were the people who introduced rocketry to the world. I don't know how many of you would know Hyder Ali, father of Tipu Sultan, defeated Frenchmen in the Battle of Palasi, I think, that I need to be corrected, with the use of 500 soldiers that were carrying rockets with him. The history says it, the French never fought a war on Indian soil thereafter, and they retreated from our country back to France. But in France they had fight with the Englishmen. Englishmen lost that war because the rockets were with Frenchmen. Englishmen carried the rocketry with them to England, and England, when they had fought with Germany, when they fought the war in Germany, it came to Germany. Then came the U2. I am telling you the talk, why all this talk, is that the rocketry, I think, to my mind, is the generation of the technology that we are enjoying. We are teaching, we are studying, and we are enjoying it all the same at once. So from Germany, it is all known a history that 72 rocket scientists were taken, and I think 73 were there, 72 were taken, 36 each between Russians and Americans, and one was killed then and there. Lest there be equal sharing, they thought. So the value of education can be seen, or value of engineering education can be seen by the various references to the wars that I have made. It is by war we understand that what engineering technology contributes to saving the nation and making it win over the other nations. Had it not been for a better nuclear technology, probably the Second World War would have continued even till now. Same was at the time of Alexander the Great. Had they not had the better arrows, probably they would have been there where they were in Macedonia. So it is the better technology which gives the strength to a nation. It gives the strength to rupee, it gives strength to the nation. So lot depends on the technological brains that we have or we are likely to create. So you are all doing a great job for the country as well as for you. Today maybe you are thinking that you are not doing it as good as others are doing. But believe me, Manchester had to exist. Ludhiana had to exist. The industry at its nascent stage, there also needed a mass conversion of people from non-technical thinking to thinking, engineering at least. So we are doing that job at present in private institutions. Let's wait to bring the quality in. Lathes must start, then the CNCs will come automatically. I don't know how many of you will agree with me this or not. Couple of generations will go down, but seeing the scenario, people are changing a lot. People are changing a lot and quickly. I don't know, because this is an extempore. I cannot go into details of everything that is within me. But well, I have been an SAP expert, and expert, or you can't call everybody an expert, a consultant for that matter. And I have had a long time in industry as well as in education. 20 years down the line in education, I started my career from Escorts as an engineer, graduate engineer, after having done engineering, and then from Motilal Nehru Engineering College, and then I joined MTech there. So this is the little background I have, but lot of passion for engineering teaching and lot of passion for very good teaching there. Thank you very much, and I thank him for giving me the opportunity to speak.
So I think the audience would further like to know, and for the better cause of recording it on camera and then proliferating it across, quality education has become a kind of a metaphor that everyone is talking about, quality and education of engineering education. And probably the incoming of the foreign varsities is being seen as a magic wand which will alleviate all the Indian problems of quality engineering education. So what are your views regarding that, and how we can learn more from the West, more from the foreign, and accommodate or acclimatize it in our own conditions?
One I just discussed with you prior to coming to the dais was the Japanese system that I was explaining to you all. That has created its own sort of, for everybody to see, excellence among the students and lot of motivation. But then I was very well involved in the American system of teaching, but they are so different from ours. Rote learning methods. Our approach being so mathematical that probably thinking gets a chance at the back seat at best. But our main aim is to develop the thinking, the innovative ideas in your mind, which I think will get created by the visualization of many of the things that we propound in theory and by mathematics. How would that happen? That would happen if we show more YouTube experiments that are on the web, a copy of the Western style, more MIT lectures, more Virginia Tech lectures, more NPTEL, and assimilation of the same by our professors, lecturers, and lab assistants. Nobody to be left behind in that process of learning. This is I would of course get everybody involved in the quality and the way they teach by MIT lectures that are on YouTube. Enough for many of us, for many generations. Then there are individuals who give away their experiments or their finding or their tutorials on YouTube. They are exceptional. This is one way, combined with the theory in the books that we need to study, and we need to keep studying it all the time. Teachers, and we must inculcate that habit in our students. This is one way of improving the technical. Lot of association with industry is the second way. Industry is dominated by the people who have experimented and have come up in their life. I don't say that is not a good way. That's very, very good way that you experiment. But where is the time to go reach beyond that once you are only experimenting all your life and learning the things which are already there in the history? Very many examples are there. So many things have been developed in the industry, like our ICs. ICs came out of a practical problem by Kilby. Kilby, you must be knowing, all of you. Kilby is the only engineer to have got Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize is for physics. for fundamental sciences, physics, chemistry. But this Kilby got this award even though he was an engineer. It was not for engineering. And the feat that he did was to convert the regular PCB circuits to ICs, regular transistors into ICs. The job was thrust on him when he joined Texas Instruments. Others were going on summer holidays, and this man had to stay back because he had just joined. And while leaving, probably his boss or his colleagues told him that assemble so many transistors onto one plate, and this is the circuit that we want when we come back. If you can do it, it will be excellent. So there comes the birth of ICs. He said, it's no use, let me create small transistors itself, which will be formed on the plate of silicon, and they can do remarkable off and on jobs. From industry also comes the invention. So this, I don't know, the set is difficult now, and so are the convergences in technologies making it still worse. The nano, I don't know where is it going to lead us. We are there. We are there. We will. Now all this only tells me that better teachers, better students can only do better. Maybe industry-led thinking, maybe philosophy-led thinking, maybe the finance-led thinking, maybe anything. Mr. Bhardwaj would say, rarely agree with me, but all the same, listen to me. Good. Anything else you have? Well, I am not a conventional professor, not a conventional teacher. I am an engineer who has gone round and thereupon come back to settle and set up and...
We have some observations, comments or questions to make it a bit interactive. What Sir has talked about, what all I could gather from his immaculate conversation, like he has been talking about the willingness of the whole space of it, the larger ecosystem of it, the industry coming forward to drive the academic interventions, and his thought of the Southeast Asian models, like especially the Japanese model. So maybe we can take a couple of questions to Shri Gurmeet Singh Soin sir on the topic and conversations around it. Atul sir, would you?
Question is for opportunities in India, challenges and opportunities. So challenges we have discussed, like it could be more competitive, but as two faces of the coin, do we see any opportunities also?
Oh, tremendous, my dear. That's
for us, not
for you. For those who are in the...
Setting the right competition that intense, you have to obviously compete with the best.
Yeah.
So we hope that some good foreign universities do come up, because there are a lot of universities in USA and UK also which are not doing well. I don't know what universities are looking for ground in India, because that thing is not clear to any of us.
It is very good for us. Very, very good to us. Well, because I was working in escorts and I saw the transition between escorts, the Polish motorcycle, what do you call, the British Cummins engines and on the tractors, to the latest Maruti cars, and the cars Volkswagen, and on and on. Believe me, Maruti brought a kind of challenge to the entire industry in the field of automobiles that changed the scenario and competitiveness and the competence of the industry to understand and standardize on the products that they built. The kind of equipment they forced, the kind of equipment that they could force them to buy, and the allurement they could give by the way of money was impossible otherwise to have been achieved. And thousands of industries have come up to a good international standard. They brought in collaborations. They brought in, this is the industry scenario. They brought in collaborations. The discontented labor force also wanted to learn now that we will be otherwise thrown out. The competition, that internal politics was completely wiped out. The importance of, you see so less number of strikes now. It is because of the competence they have brought in and the practices that they have brought in into those industries. This is the opportunity. The opportunity to do better. Opportunity to improve the quality. It's already, stirring our minds that how to produce better teachers. The teachers must be also thinking now that I am better, let me qualify to do little better and earn more with the foreign university. Let me do my homework now properly. This is what they did to the workers. This is what they will do to us, the teachers. Otherwise demotivated and also thought as a poor teacher all the time for centuries. I think we need a foreign hand at present to improve upon that. But I told you no difficult questions. Thank you.
It was a difficult question to...
No difficult, we are friends.
Sir, any...
No, I personally have a comment not to this.
Yeah.
I think what he said very correctly, that foreign universities give us plethora of opportunities. I always feel this is a education, as we know Saraswati, and here the goddess of Saraswati. I think it is all about collaboration. I think if we can do collaborations in the field of research, if we can do collaborations in the field of student exchange, and in the collaboration in the faculty development programs, you will be surprised. Last year when I was in MIT, and I asked the professor, Dean, can we have a faculty exchange program? I thought that he will say who this your college is and why should I have this thing. I got a surprise answer. He said, we don't mind putting our professor in your college, and we don't mind getting your professor coming here. So I said, what can be the arrangement? I can't bear the cost of your professor, what he's getting in dollars. He said, you don't have to worry about it. You pick up your cost of your professor when he comes here. We pick up our professor when he goes to India. And for 6 months, he can teach one of the courses here. And for 6 months, your professor, we will train him, because he knew how our professors are in making education. He said, we will train him first to our standards, and then he will teach in our class. So I was shocked and saw that openness from the universities, which are top-end universities. I am not talking about weak category universities, who are ready to do these kind of programs. So it is, I think, also our initiative to go back to them and say that we are open to that. I think personally there is a lot of learning one can take from these institutions. I am not saying you have to copy the model. We have to make our own model, because otherwise we will all be driving cars which are now junked by GM. Today we are driving a Japanese car because that is the best cars, and that's how we have learned our innovation, and now we have Scorpios of the world, which is going all across the world. Same way we have to build our own education model, looking at various models, whether it is Japanese or US, and see cost-effective models. My challenge, I always say, other day TCS guy was coming and saying that we have developed an education system for you, and it is we charge per student basis per month. So they gave some money that this is the X price what we charge. I said, my challenge to you is, how can we deliver the education at the remotest village at 1 rupee per per student basis for ERP, whatever you are giving to us? Then we can deliver the education at that level at 50 rupees per month. Now that is the vision which we are taking, that okay, 50 rupees per month can we give education to a remotest village in the, and we will give the education as what is required, not teaching in MBA or engineering or whatever, which is not required, which is what we call community colleges, which is what I think, personally I believe that will be the model in India over the period of time. We will own it. It may take 25 years to own it, but that is the kind of model which can develop and which will be self-sustaining. Today, whatever models we are superimposing it. Everybody has engineering colleges, everybody has a management colleges, everybody has a BCom and all. This is not what is required. In a location, we need to study that location, what is there, what is a normal living, for living people do. If they do agriculture, then we should have something about agriculture, college, rather than making them study engineering. Finally, what they will do? They will create the reverse pressure on the cities, that all these engineers become non-employable. If we have agriculturists getting developed and using equipments which are to be used in that location, I think he will do better productivity of agriculture. And finally, what we are seeing, onion prices and all this guy, because there is a revolution needed at agriculture level also, because our productivities are sustained. So what I am saying is, we need to develop a model of education around our locations, rather than having one big copying MITs and Harvards of the world, and we have to develop our own. But we can learn it from their colleges.
So you raised a really pertinent point. You said that even the copying will not work. So in the context of today's discussion, that the foreign universities coming in India and establishing their campuses, of which there is a remote possibility, do you think that they will be able to succeed and provide the real quality education, under quotes, quality under quotes, what all relevant quality we are talking about? I think we would like to have your views on it a bit more.
Okay.
Well, before that we go, you are talking of the same system as the French teach in Bordeaux area, the young students to taste wine, the young 5-year-olds to taste wine. Surely the area specific education is important. It is very, very important that the area specific education and the pressure on education, on agriculture must also reduce. Please understand that earlier on, the pressure on agriculture also must reduce. The employability there is also now not that much. If we mechanize it, it will not remain there, because we need higher outputs and we need mechanization therein. All these companies like Mahindra, like Escorts, like the Ford, all are coming up with the tractors, the harvesters, so on and so forth. The need is basically why? What? To invent on harvesters, to invent on tractors, invent on tractors, stop copying there. The basic need is to make the chip. $20 billion worth of chips we are using every year. The need is there. Petroleum we can't produce, but chip at least we can. The tractors we can produce and improve upon it, invent. Use lighter materials. Where have the hell we gone? Are we using any of the so-called what is that material which has come up now? Carbon fiber. Where are we there? The synthetic materials. Silicon is one, but where are we? The new entire telecommunication or computers area, we are absolutely doing nothing. We are missing, or we have already missed, or we have been forced to miss the manufacturing bus by our bureaucrats long time ago. Having gone far away from that manufacturing area, only due to bad policy and bad provisioning, bad infrastructure, now we are living in the financial jargons, manipulating the money from here to there, there to there. That's all. So leaving that, only the engineering first, in first stage, engineering must be given the top priority. To counter that and to best illustrate that point, I don't know whether I am right in saying it, at the India Gate, we must remove that statue and put the engineer statue on a lathe, working there. That is the to the resolution that we must adopt through engineering edge.
My suggestion is add one engineering statue.
Okay.
Inclusive.
I think it will add value there.
That gives me off. Thank you very much. And good platform to have spoken to.